Hey guys, it's Chris, and welcome to Toned and Toneful, the self-actualization video series, episode number 74. If you could, would you? So guys, it is the beginning of March, and I'm extremely excited because we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Normally with Toned and Toneful, episode to episode, things are a little bit different. Might be covering different subjects, might be covering different angles of things. But this is going to be my first video series for the month of March, New Beginnings. And so this video series is going to be covering the mentality that happens between the beginning of a project up to the first plateau, which is where I view that we go from things feeling new in our life to things starting to kind of finally have some grounding. So this first episode, If You Could, Would You, is going to be about the mentality that happens before we take on the new project. So I hope you guys enjoy, and let's get into it. So at the beginning of every project, at the beginning of every new opportunity that we have in life, it is really easy for us to kind of see a lot of hope. It's easy for us to feel a lot of fear. Whatever it is, it's a pretty extreme emotion because something new is happening. And a lot of us have different associations with things that are new in our life when we first start them. Some of us have had previous experiences that are really good, and some of us have had previous experiences that are really bad, and we latch onto those a little bit, and they create a pattern in us. But the goal of this week's episode is to talk over the mentality that we could observe so that when we're starting something new, we could feel really good about it. And one of the first things that I've noticed that whenever a new project gets brought up to me is there's a choice between feeling a very strong hope in the project or feeling a certain amount of dread that can sometimes take the air out of the room, can sometimes make the project feel even empty before it begins, or sometimes it could be so much hope that all the energy is expended very quickly before the project even begins. Many times, new bands, new positions at jobs, and even a promotion can end before it begins, so to speak, right in this particular period. And it's crazy to think, how could it end before it actually began? But many of us are mentally in a space where we've already decided our success or our failure right then. So at the beginning of a project, we have to make a decision if we're going to approach it in an organized fashion or if we're going to approach it in a passionate fashion. And if we're not too clear on our goals of what this project means to us or what it means to those who we're going to be creating partnerships with, it is really easy to approach it from passion. I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to be all in. You go from this project becoming, from an infancy stage, was nothing in your life to absolutely everything. You're now putting every conversation you have into the idea of this. All your free moments are put into studying for it, put into organizing a better version of it. But this is before we even start dealing with the total factor of all the different elements that are going to be inside this new project or thing we're taking on. Sometimes we're asked to do music, like, you guys are all musicians here, so maybe you're asked to take on a lead guitar position in a band. Maybe you're asked to be a musical director at a church. Maybe you're a musical director in a new play that's happening. Maybe you're asked to do something that is going to require something different of you, like doing a guest spot on a recording, a guest spot, no matter where it is in a podcast. It doesn't matter what it is, but you're going to take passion to that and you're going to really just run with it. But the thing that you have to be careful of is those of us who are very passionate, me included, this is why I know about this, is that we can end up in a place where we've expended all the energy for the project so early on that when the real situations start happening, we're already pretty drained. And we end up in a place that we haven't even really gone to the first band practice yet. We haven't actually really learned any of the tunes yet. Or if we have learned the tunes, maybe we haven't gone over how they're going to be played with other people. And this can pertain again to anything. If you're a painting medium artist, or if you're a person just getting a promotion at your job and you're really researching what the position you might be doing does. But this is where we have to be careful. Being in an organized, disciplined fashion to practice the process is really the goal here. And you keep hearing this come up in the last few weeks of Toned in Toneful, whether it was the reward series that we just finished or doing what we're doing right now is really the new beginnings, and still remembering that no matter what part of any process we're in, it is about enjoying the process and really looking at it from a discipline standpoint. So for those of us who are very quick to jump in and just be passionate, it's really easy to over-deliver in the beginning and then not be able to pace that out later as the project goes on. Maybe even mentally, just even before you get to the first meeting, you're that person who shows up bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and everyone's like, wow, they got so much input. And there are other people on the team who are more disciplined and maybe more slow in structure, and they might be showing up to the second meeting with more information, and you're feeling kind of left out. It's putting you in an interesting spot because your whole approach is about that dynamic that is so passionate and that is so forward that you feel like if you can't bring something every time, it kind of makes you feel a little discouraged, or it makes you feel maybe a little bit at a loss of control, because many people who are very passionate about projects and take things on very quickly, they might also have an aspect in them that is looking for control very quickly. They're looking for control because this project gives them control. They're looking for control because maybe there's been an emptiness in their life that they're trying to fulfill. But whatever project that we're trying to take on, no matter where we're trying to go, we must remember that this inability to observe the process and break things down in a way that are digestible, that are something that you can take in, that is really where we're going to put our best foot forward. Maybe it's recognizing that a certain amount of each day should be put aside for this new project, because life is still happening. You're still going to have to cook dinner. You're still going to have to do your regular job. You're still going to have to do all the things that pertain to your life before you took on this new project. And that's why if you could, would you take the time to discipline yourself and make a planned pattern so that when you bring in this new thing, it is a part of your life. It is a new extension that you are going to make time for and put an outlet towards without it just completely consuming you. And a lot of people forget that consumption of their time, their energy, and their resources is the power that we have. Our time and our energy are our most valuable assets as human beings. If we're out of time and we're out of energy, we're really put in a bad spot. We're going to start delivering bad results. We're going to start becoming extremely inconsistent. And consistency is the key to things becoming bigger and more powerful as time goes on. I've brought this up over the Toned and Toneful arc many times, that consistency is one of our most powerful tools. And so when we take a look at going into our new project, have you taken the time to make a little schedule for yourself? Like I mentioned earlier, maybe you're breaking off a part of your day to do a little research, to put a little time into figure out if it's a guest solo, are you listening to the song consistently a little bit every day? Getting ideas and letting things build up. Because remember, the more that we practice the process, these little things do get faster. You hear something and your intuition kicks in a little quicker. Oh, you know what I would play over that? It would be this. Oh, you know what I would do in a project like this, because I've taken on multiple projects and I've, gone through the beginning process a couple of times. This is kind of how I would approach this project with my creativity style and my personality. And as you can do that, you realize that the time that you dedicate to it and the way that you approach it becomes much smoother for you. And that is something that I think a lot of people don't let themselves get into. They dive headfirst into each project and they overwhelm themselves and they kind of burn out each time, because different projects require different types of output from us. And so if we can't see how to do that consistently over time, again, we're put in a position that we're very, very trapped. So as you're approaching a new project in the beginning and your mindset is kind of going into that, okay, I have to make a decision about this. Would I really want to break down my life into some little parts so I could actually make a good schedule for myself? Is this project the right project for me at this time? Would it be something that I could approach with, humility and something that I could approach with discipline? Or is this another outlet for me to prove myself? Many times when people take on new projects, it's a place to prove themselves. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to put another challenge on ourselves and be able to say, hey, when that challenge was presented, I was able to rise to the occasion. But at what cost? At what level do you allow the challenge and the level of proving ourselves outweigh our conviction to the process and discipline? Because the process is ongoing. Wouldn't it be better to maintain your normal life and maintain all those facets at their highest level than to take on a new project and then now tank everything to a certain amount? Because life's all about balance. The more that you take away from another part of your life, the more you got to figure out how to reposition that into the new project. And that's something that all of us have to deal with. All of us have to find within ourselves when we take on a new project. So in the beginning, before there's even any real movement, how do you think about it? How are you processing that moment? Hey, Chris, I was thinking about having you do a guest solo on my album, and I'm almost done with the song. So, would you like to do that? And I'm running through my mind, I've heard this person's music, this other artist's music before. I do correlate with it. I've actually listened to it a lot. I'm extremely honored that they're asking me. And there's several thoughts that are kind of flying through my head at the moment. But as I tie down, the reality comes down to, do I know the type of work that I want to do in this project? I like this artist's music. I've listened to it. I'm familiar with it. I'm familiar with my skill set and how I connect that to them and connect that to their art. And in that process, can I see a way of building something up? Hey, what's the timeline? Well, if I give you the song, Chris, you would have 2 weeks to work on it. Okay. Well, if I were to work on it 2 hours a day for 2 weeks, that would give me 30 hours to do something. Do I need 30 hours to write a guitar solo? Do I need 2 hours to write a guitar solo? Do I want it to be something more improvised that it's about me just playing over it, and when I get the right take, I just pull that? These are all part of the mindset that you must use to approach it. So how is the discipline looking? Is it 2 hours a day of investment? Is 30 minutes just listening to the song every day and then it's working on it after that? Or is it even quicker? The timeline's a week. I got to be able to kind of do this faster. And if I'm not used to that, I got to ask myself honestly, hey, my process has taken me a month so far every time to do this. And even if I did it quicker, it'd be 3 weeks. It might not be the right project to take on at this moment with this person. There's always another opportunity. When we allow things to come into our life, remember, we're not pressing it away. If we allow things, it can come to us if we just stay still. You're never going to catch a butterfly running around after a butterfly unless you got a net. But if you stand still long enough, the butterfly might land on you. And I think you can understand what I'm saying in that particular context. But these are things that I wanted to keep in mind for all of us as we start our new projects, about the timeline, about our discipline, about our structure to our workflow. And if we want to approach it from a point that we are consistent rather than just overly passionate and burning out. If we are confident in our skill set rather than starting the project off on a rocky foot and just saying yes because we want to prove ourselves because the person that we're going to work with we admire, or it's a friend of ours and we just have a hard time saying no. Putting that boundary in place is incredibly important before we have a new beginning. And that is why this is almost the mindset before we answer the question. Before, when someone asks you something and you have to go inside yourself and give yourself that silence in that moment to create an answer that's true and honest. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me for episode number 74 of the Toned and Toneful video series. If you could, would you? And remember, guys, take that time to think about it because this whole month is about new beginnings. So if you guys are starting something new for spring, let me be a part of that. Leave comments below if you made it this far. Type the word flower, Flower, because we love flowers over here at Toned and Toneful. And guys, I hope the week is great, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. And above all else, stay toned and toned.